Are you ready, bud? It's your new home. Go check it out. What do you think? Hey guys, it's Jenny. Welcome back once again to Solid Gold. As you saw in my last video featuring my rack of 6 terrariums for reptiles and amphibians, it's finally time to set up the 2 terrariums for my 2 leopard geckos, Sylvia and Rune. The only thing I was waiting on are these custom designed lids for the hybrid reptile tanks that Custom Cages makes. They actually have not made lids like this before now. Until I needed them. It kind of just drops down into these tanks and you can pull it off to have complete access to the top of the tank for tank cleaning or whatever else you might need to have complete access to the tank for, I suppose. Sylvia's been living in here. This is actually an Exoterra tank. So this was just here temporarily, but it's about to be replaced by her newly set up tank. And this one over here, I already have the background siliconed in place. This background is from Universal Rocks. It's really cool because it kind of has like a horizontal piece on the ground that juts out into the tank itself. So the leopard gecko could actually climb up here onto this stuff a little bit because it kind of slopes up gradually. So if you have one that likes to climb, this is kind of neat for them. Leopard geckos are actually pretty unique among most of the reptile species that people keep commonly as pets because it's pretty much widely agreed upon that they don't need UV light above their tank, and they also don't need overhead basking heat or a basking light over their tank. But they do need belly heat to help them digest their food. And I have noticed even after I get done feeding crickets to my leopard geckos that they will go seek out the heat mat and lay their belly on it flat on the ground. So you can tell that they use that heat to help them digest their food. It's really cute. So to keep your leopard gecko happy and healthy, you want to create a heat gradient in your tank. So I have this heat mat installed on the ground already. This is just on the underside of the glass of the bottom of the tank, and it's only on this side. It's already plugged in. I just plugged it in, so it's nice and warm. And then over here on this side, it's nice and cool. So the leopard gecko can move around the tank depending on their current temperature needs. So that's the basic tank setup that I have going so far. Now I'm gonna add the substrate, and actually I usually don't use loose substrate for my leopard geckos. This is what I would normally use. This is Sylvia's current setup that she's living in. This is reptile carpet. There's a lot of different kinds of reptile carpet. It's basically kind of like a really coarse felt pad. And I like it. I haven't had any problems with it. It's really easy to clean. I think it looks pretty nice. I don't particularly care for the green colors. It usually comes in green. It's a lot harder to find it in brown. But in brown, I actually think it looks really nice. But I kind of wanted to try and switch things up for my newly set up tanks. Maybe make them look a little bit more natural, but still have something that's going to be safe for the leopard geckos. Now, a lot of people tend to shy away from loose substrates for leopard geckos, which is actually very wise, and I would definitely recommend not using a lot of the loose substrates that are out there for leopard geckos, especially something like Kelsey sand, because that's just really bad for leopard geckos. And I'm not going to get into it in this video, but I will refer you guys to a YouTube channel that I really like called Leopard Gecko, and she basically does almost every single video that she has is about leopard geckos and their proper care. Very informational, very informative, and I love her style of videos. And what she uses for her leopard gecko tanks is Eco Earth, but she uses it dry. And this is stuff that comes in a big compressed block, and you add water to it and mix it together, and then it hydrates itself and becomes this loose kind of powdery substrate. Now this is actually ground up cocoa fiber, and it's called Eco Earth. You can find it at most of your pet supply stores. And I decided I was gonna try to use this. The cool thing about this is you can use it moist or dry. So if you have like a frog or something that likes higher humidity, you can just add water to this and it'll retain the water pretty well without breaking down. It also doesn't expand, so if your leopard gecko does happen to ingest any of this, it's not going to expand in their digestive tract and cause issues. It's just going to be, well, basically pooped out. It's just going to go through their digestive system and come out the other end pretty much the same way it was. And if you have a healthy leopard gecko that's been cared for properly and has all of its heating requirements met, and it has a moist hide to retreat to if it needs it, basically you're just providing what your leopard gecko needs to be healthy, then a loose substrate of Eco Earth is not going to cause any impaction or any problems like that, unless your gecko already has some underlying issue. And in that case, you probably shouldn't use this substrate. But if you have a healthy leopard gecko whose needs are being met, there's no problem with using Eco Earth. Now, of course, in full disclosure, I don't know this from personal experience. I'm just repeating what I have learned online, specifically from this Leopard Gecko YouTube channel, but I find her to be a very, very credible source. So I'm passing the information along to you guys and trying to give her credit for enlightening me to it. But anyways, I thought this would be a really good substrate to use in my leopard gecko tanks. If I don't like it, I can always switch back to the reptile carpet, but I wanted to try something different, something that looks a little more natural. And also I'm excited to see what they're gonna think of it. They're gonna find that they like digging. Maybe they'll dig little holes everywhere. I don't know, so it'll be interesting. There we go, we got the substrate added. Look at Sylvia, being all cute over there. Your turn's next, Sylvia. Next thing I'm gonna add is his cool moist hide. Now, leopard geckos need a moist hide or a humid hide, some people call it, which is going to have higher humidity in it than the rest of their tank. They actually don't like a lot of humidity in their environment at large, but they do need to have a little retreat to go to that has a higher level of humidity than the rest of their tank to help them shed their skin. So here's the humid hide that Rune has already been using in his tank. It's just a little fake rock with a hole in it, and the entire top lifts off, and then the bottom is sealed. And I have, again, some Eco Earth in here, but this Eco Earth is actually quite wet. So when the top is put on this, it creates a little humid hide or moist hide with a little bit of higher humidity. So it's a place he can retreat to when he's about to shed and he needs a little bit more humidity to help his skin come off easier. I'm gonna put this way back here in the corner, and that is on the cool side. And then I also have his warm, dry hide that he was using in his temporary tank. This is gonna go right over the heat pad, right on this side. This hide is actually where he spends the majority of his time currently. It's his favorite spot. And of course, we can't forget a little water dish. I'm also gonna add a third hide. Now, this is completely optional, but sometimes your leopard gecko is gonna want somewhere to hide that's cool but not moist. So it can be helpful to add a third hide over on the cool side, one that's cool and dry. So here's his cool and dry hide. He's also got his cool moist hide, and then over here he's got his warm dry hide. And with that, his tank has everything he would need to be healthy and happy, but it looks kind of sparse and bare and a little ugly, if you ask me, with just these elements in it. So I went and got this little planter that looks like a little hollowed out log. It actually looks pretty realistic for what it is. I'm kind of surprised. And I decided to put some succulents in it so I can use that in my leopard gecko tanks. I have one for Sylvia's tank too. I went ahead and added a few more decorative elements too, just so it didn't look quite so plain. I added some leaf litter. This is live oak and magnolia leaf litter that's been sanitized that I got from out in my pesticide-free yard. And then I added this little wooden stick that I had laying around and some of these rocks from Sylvia's tank, just to add a little more visual interest to make it look a bit nicer. And with that, the tank is now completely set up and ready for little Rune. So let's go get him and show him his new home. His temporary tank is looking a little bare now because I just took all of his hides away for his new home. Hey buddy, what you doing? You looking for a little cave to hide in? Come here. Oh boy. Hey little dude. Oh, you're so cute. See how he has like just a slight dusty look to him right now? That means that he's probably about to shed in a few days here. Are you nervous? You want to go back to your hides? Come on, I'll show you where they are. Are you ready, bud? It's your new home. Go check it out. What do you think? I'm glad that I was able to use all of the hides and the water dish from his temporary tank, because that way this tank will at least have some familiar smells to him and it will smell like home. So it'll at least have a familiar scent in his new environment. Go ahead, bud. He's a little scared. Maybe I'll dim the lights for him a little bit. There, how's that? That's a little better, isn't it? All right, well, he went back into his warm hide back there, so he'll probably stay there for the rest of the day. And I'm sure when it gets to be nighttime, he'll start to feel a little more adventurous and come explore the rest of his cage. But leopard geckos are nocturnal, so they don't really like to be out and about when the lights are on or during the day. And so he probably is just gonna hide for the rest of the day now. Well guys, that's where I'm gonna end today's video because it's already getting long enough, but don't forget that Sylvia is still waiting for her new tank to be set up too, right next to Rune's. So check back for that in an upcoming video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time, and until then, stay gold.